Hey traders, Marcello here, founder of the Day Trading Academy. Today we're talking about the best markets for beginners to trade. Most of you probably watching this video are kind of wondering how to get involved, how to make money day trading, and I do believe personally that it is something that anybody can do. I've had about 14 years experience now, 12 years actually coaching people from around the world, you know, whether you're black, white, green, gray, purple, green eyes, blue eyes, purple eyes, you know, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we really all react in the same way when it comes to day trading, right? We all work very, very hard for our money and we don't want to lose it. It's really, really important to be able to make sure that we are choosing the right market to trade to make it easier. And the reason why is because day trading is much more than just technical analysis. I know that in the industry, and most of you that are watching this video, you know, everybody's saying, well, you can make $1 million next week, you can make $1,000 every day starting next Friday. And the reality is that that's not really the way that it works. This is something that we do have to learn. It's a process that we have to go through. And at the end of the day, day trading is much more than just technical analysis or charts or, you know, a billion computer screens, right? At the end of the day, it really comes down to psychology. So because it comes down to psychology and the way that we manage our emotions, what we call emotional capital at the Day Trading Academy, it's important to be able to understand that we have to make the process as simple as possible to focus on the right things and then make sure that we're able to handle the emotional capital that we have. The reason why people blow out accounts and the reason why people, you know, I, for example, took out $25,000 in student loans. I lost that in a month. The reason why people go through that process is because they're not disciplined enough to be able to make sure that they don't do the wrong things and pay attention to the right things. So by focusing on trading the right markets, that's one of the ways that we can make sure that we are going to make it easier for ourselves to be able to trade. Now, for those of you that know me personally, I detest the Forex and the options markets, especially for beginners. This does not mean that you can't make money in those markets, because you can, but for a beginner it's much more difficult to be able to learn in a market like Forex or options because of the manipulation involved. Options especially, there's a lot more information that we have to learn. It's not just as simple as putting an order, putting a target and a stop, and then that's it. You know, there's straddles where we have to put 2-3 different orders on different levels. So it becomes a little bit more difficult to pay attention to more things when it comes to Forex or options. Forex, for example, we always have to watch multiple markets at once, and it's hard enough to be able to analyze the market, just one market, and it's harder to be able to analyze our emotions at the same time. So paying attention to more than one market at a time is going to make it more difficult for you to learn how to trade. So that's the first thing to be able to understand. I would not recommend options or Forex. Stocks and futures are two of the markets that I actually would recommend for most beginners. Futures, because it is the majority of the time you can pay attention to one market. They're very, very liquid. There's a lot less manipulation. It's very easy to be able to learn how to trade that way. You know, you can open up an account with just $1,000. In full disclosure, you can open up an account with Forex with just $500 or a few $100s. But it does become a little bit more risky because with Forex you have to borrow money and pay interest to be able to get leverage, which means that you can make a lot more money with less. Whereas with futures, for every dollar that the market goes up, we're able to make anywhere between $50 to $1,000 just every time, or excuse me, $5,000. So $50 to $5,000 every time the market goes up a dollar. Stocks are also good. One thing to understand about stocks is there is something called the pattern day trading rule. That's where you need to have a minimum of $25,000 to be able to day trade, which essentially means you can't get out in and out at the same day, a certain amount of positions within a certain time frame. I believe it's 3 trades in 4 days, something along those lines. So even though stocks, there's a little bit more restrictions, it is a little bit easier to do your research. The one thing with Forex and futures, for example, and sometimes options as well, is that it doesn't require a lot of homework. You open up your chart, it's a few technical analysis, and then you just jump in. Whereas with stocks, it's a little bit more research involved, but it could be a little bit easier for you to learn that way because you're going to be taking trades at a little bit more longer term. So those are essentially the trades, or the markets I should say, that I recommend that most of you guys trade, especially if you're a beginner. I would avoid options and Forex at all costs. You know, a lot of the brokers and Forex themselves make money off of the trades that we make, and they don't allow us to get filled in the right places. Not to say that there isn't manipulation in other markets as well, but Forex can be a little bit tricky. Options, there's a lot more moving parts when you're going to learn how to trade, so it's a little bit harder to be able to kind of pick it up. Options and Forex, I would say, are the most popular things to learn outside of stocks, because you can start with a few $100s, etc., etc. But I would recommend futures and stocks for the most of you. For those of you guys that are watching in places like Chile or the UK, you guys do have CFDs and spread betting. You can do well in those markets as well. One of the things that I always say is CFDs, for example, are illegal in the United States. So that kind of, to me, says a lot about those specific markets as well. So if you want a very high leveraged market, which means that you can make a lot more with less, then I would definitely recommend futures. I personally started with futures. I was very lucky. I started on the Russell 2000 index, then I switched over to the S&P 500. I got a lot of flack for doing the Forex is a fraud video, so I do want to let you guys know, with full disclosure, you can make money with Forex, but I would wait until you're a lot more, a lot more, and you gather a bit of an expertise when it comes to trading to be able to trade things like Forex and options. I would avoid those altogether, to be honest with you, because you can make a lot more money with a lot less in futures and stocks as well. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm going to be doing a little bit more of these series of videos to be able to kind of give you guys more information on how to be able to trade, especially for you beginners out there. So let me know if you have any questions here on YouTube. Head over to the site, daytradingacademy.com, and we will talk to you soon. Ciao.